Alright, so this is Seungmin Lee. I'm interviewing Richard Ratliff. So, in terms of services, what major battles or operations were you part of?
Well, Korea was the big.
The biggest one?
I went out twice to Korea. Now remember, I can talk a lot more than any of the other veterans here because their service time would stop in 1945 when the war was over. Mine carried on, and Canada had a lot of things that we were doing. The Cold War was on. You heard of the Cold War. When the Cuban Missile Crisis came up, and we threw a block. I say we were operating under NATO through a blockade around Cuba to stop any more missiles going in there. And I was out there at sea in that one. But that came close to a nuclear war. Fortunately, diplomacy occurred, and Russia and the USA were able to come to terms, and the Holocaust of a nuclear war didn't happen.
So, what exactly was your role out at sea, on the ship?
During that time?
Yeah.
We were supposed to be stopping the Russian ships from bringing any more missiles in. And also, we were trying to keep tabs on their submarine, because they had a huge, it's not well known, but at that time of history, the 60s, early 60s, there was an undersea detection network out there, and one of the stations was in Nova Scotia, and other stations were in Newfoundland, and there was one down the Caribbean. But what they were there for is keeping track of the submarines, which you couldn't see getting into the water, but they make a noise with their propellers and what have you, and we could detect that and we were detecting it. We knew we could practically tell which Russian submarine it was. But that's the kind of fun and games that we were playing in the early 60s. They don't even have that, they don't bother with that. After the wall came down and everything like that, and the communist government fell down in Russia, things changed a lot.
So, how would you describe your experiences on the boat?
Experiences?
On the boat, during this time?
Is this what the normal day was like?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the ship is divided into what we call 3 watches, and all during the day, one of those watches is up on deck. Their lifebuoy sentries, lookouts, obstacle watch, and during the day there are 7 watches that you go through. Say the day starts at midnight, okay? And one watch comes on at midnight, and they go to 4 o'clock. Then the next watch comes on at 4 o'clock, and they go from 4 to 8. Then the third watch comes on at 8, it goes from 8 till noon. Then the one that was on at midnight comes back on, because you keep rotating. And when you're not on watch, during the day, you have your normal duties on the ship, a part of the ship that you are responsible. If you're an electrician or something, you probably have jobs to do as well. Then then the ship's routine is going, like breakfast is at 6:30 in the morning, at noon, dinner at noon. I remember in the Navy, they serve rum to the sailors, and that comes before the dinner time at noon. And then the supper time is at 5 o'clock at night. And then after that is all you get. Then you've got it's free time. You're not working during the day. So and all our sailors then the ships that were in Korea slept in hammocks. They didn't have bunks, and they slept in a mess deck that wouldn't be as big as this, about half this size. They did everything there. They slept there. They played cards there. They ate there. We didn't have a cafeteria for them then. We did later. But so it was their living space. It wasn't the best, but that's what they had.
So would you say life was easy on the boat, or was it difficult?
I would say, yeah, it was difficult.
Difficult?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Well, the time that you're spending on duty, I just pointed out to you that at least you have 2 watches a day. That means that you're up on deck for 8 hours, and then you're expected to do other things too. So, and then at any time, you could go to action stations which meant everybody. You man every position in the ship. When we were in Korea, we had 3 double forage gun mines. When we were in 3 watches, we only manned 1 of them, but we did have a crew right on that gun that we could open fire right away. But when you're at action stations, everybody's out. The sonar men are there, the radar men are there, all the guns are manned. That can happen first thing in the morning. You just come off watch at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you find at 5:30, because it's dawn, you go to action stations. So you didn't even have time to get to bed. So you spend a lot of time manning the ship, so to speak.
I think you said that you served in Korea. So do you know how long you served in Korea for?
The first time out, I was 9 months. Second time out, I would have been there for 10 months, except I left the ship when we got to Japan, because I was sent back to England to do a navigation course. They had a rule on the ships that were in Korea that if you had a course that came up that was going to help you progress to a higher rank, they flew you back to Canada and sent a replacement up for you.
So in the times in between, did you ever return home?
Did I ever?
Did you ever return home?
Yeah, right. We went out in December 1950 when the war was really heating up, because China, quite rightly, Mao had just taken over. China, quite rightly, here's the United Nations force pressing right up on the Chinese border in the Yellow River, and I think they got a little worried that the UN forces are going to cross the Yellow River and get into China. So it's understandable that they came in, but that was 1950, December and January of that. We were out there when that happened, and we had 3 ships that were in the Korean War all the way through. We relieved one at a time. Like, we were the first ones to go out from the Atlantic. The 3 that were out there were all from the West Coast, from Esquimalt. But we were from Halifax. We went all the way through the Panama Canal, across the Pacific, Pearl Harbor, and right out to Japan, where we were based normally. We were out there till the end of July. And then it took us about a month coming back. We were back in Canada and had a new gun put on and had a few repairs put on in December, end of December, day before New Year's Eve, we sailed for Korea again. But we relieved one at a time. There was always 3 ships out there.
So did you choose to go to Korea, or were you like chosen to go?
Korea?
Yeah.
I went there because there was a ship that was going there.
Okay. So when you found out you were going to Korea, what were some of your emotions?
In Korea?
Like when you found out that you were going to go serve in Korea, how did you feel?
No different, I guess, than going anywhere else.
So you were not.
Really,
so were you like happy? Were you scared? Were you worried?
Wasn't worried.
No.
I was somewhere in between. Let me think about it. Let me answer this one way I should. How are you feeling? Excited, I guess you could.
Excited?
You knew you were into something new. You'd never been into war before. You wondered what it was going to be like. And it was exciting.
Could you outline some of the contributions that you made during the Korean War?
I did my job. And that's the other thing you wonder about, until you get the test, until you're in action, you wonder whether you're going to be able to do the job that you were trained to do. Once you're in action and have done it, that's behind you. You know you can do it. That's a big thing.
So what are some of the jobs that you carried out on the boat?
Well, I was second officer of the watch. I was junior officer of the watch. That you're up on the bridge and you're in charge of the bridge. If the captain isn't there, the captain comes out and he takes charge of the bridge, of the thing. You just help him along. But when he's at night, when he's sleeping or he's not on the bridge or whatever, the officer of the watch, is in charge of the ship. Now I was junior and I was just learning my job, so I was always on watch with the senior watchkeeper. He was the guy that was most experienced. And I was like that till I had about 6 months sea time at that. And then I got my, what they call my watchkeeper. I was certified. I got my certificate that I could stand my own watch. That's one of the, I guess that's my major one. On the second trip out, I had more responsibility then. The most important part of the ship is up on the bottom, up on the chart end. And that was the part of the ship that I had the second time, because I was a lieutenant and I had 2 stripes on. And that was gratifying because it was more demanding than any of the other parts of the ship, like back in the stern or midships. One of the satisfying things about the job on board is you get to know the sailors that you're working with. You get to know who the good ones are, and you try and help them along, and you know who the bad ones are, and you try and get them back on the straight and narrow. So it's always a challenge working with people in the Navy. And, that's one of the parts that I did enjoy. Because you get to know them almost by first name, but you're not supposed to do that. That's fraternizing with the enlisted men. You're not supposed to do that. But now, 50 years later, I run into one of them, it's like running into an old friend.
So you said before you actually went to Korea, you were very excited. Did that emotion change in any way once you actually got?
Let me put it this way. You're out there so long, and you do a lot, you're sometimes about 2 o'clock in the morning, you're up in the middle watch on a bridge where the bridge is open, you're not closed in. It's cold in Korea in February. The temperature is very much like it is here in Canada. And on a cold winter night up there, you can't deny that it goes through your mind, it went through my mind. Does anybody in Canada think at all that we're out here? That didn't become a major thing with me, but you did think. Korea was, they often said, I hope it's okay to talk like this, but they often said that the conflict in Korea was a police action. You ask any of the refugees in North Korea or in South Korea if it was a police action, and they'd say it was a war. People were killed, people lost their homes. I went back to Korea 2 years ago on a revisit program, and all the Korean people that we met said, thank you for coming to our aid when we needed you. Now, if that doesn't make you feel good, I don't know what did. But this is an Ambassador for Freedom medal that they gave us. The people of Korea gave this to us when we were on 2 years ago. 2 years ago, April, when we were out there.
So when you arrived at Korea, how was the situation there when you arrived?
Bad.
Okay.
They had just, the UN forces had just chased the communists right back, almost to the Yellow River. And then the Chinese army came in and turned it around and chased the UN forces all the way back down over the 38th parallel, way down in South Korea. And then the fighting went so on, the fighting ended up around the 38th parallel. But it took them 2 years to arrive at an armistice, and there was still fighting going on. People were being killed and whatever during that time.
Last time you met one of my group members, you mentioned something about a Korean memorial you attended a few years ago. What would you say would be the most memorable part of that experience?
What experience?
The Korean memorial that you attended a few years ago.
Oh, in Korea, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We went to almost every day. We were going to the memorial. Sometimes it was the national memorial of the country. Sometimes it was the national military memorial of the country. Okay, the most significant memorial we went to was in Busan, and it was the United Nations cemetery. There are 350 Canadians buried in that cemetery. Part of the cemetery, the parts were, there was a Canadian section, there was an Australian section, a British section, all the Commonwealth. Then there was a huge section for the United States. And in that, in the Canadian section, you go to Cenotaph here, and it's a stone thing up and Billy Ridge. You're going to hear a lot about that. It's a big stone thing up in Busan, the Canadian cemetery. has a bronze statue of a Canadian soldier. And he's holding a baby in his arms, and he's hanging on to a little toddler in his other arm. And to me, there wasn't anything more moving than that memorial. And I thought, God bless Canada, that we did something that was moving.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
There was no light like it.
Okay. Okay. So I'd like to thank you for our time, Mr. Ratcliffe. We are glad that we had the opportunity to listen to your story and pass on your selfless endeavors to our larger audience. Thank you very much.
Only two happened to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.